in democracy that you should at least try and sort this out by Christmas now?
Oh, look, as I indicated, by Christmas, but with respect, I don't agree with your assessment that it was an abrogation, because marriage as an institution being between man and woman pre-existed the nation state, and our country of Australia, the United Nations. It is the foundational societal institution. It was the first societal institution, and therefore something as fundamental as that, I think, was properly given to the Australian people to decide. They have, and I'm sure that same-sex marriage...
So how will you use your vote in the Senate?
I will use my vote to seek to ensure the best possible protections for those classical liberal values of which I spoke, and then depending on how much of that is able to be gained in the Parliament, then I will consider what my final vote is. But at the moment, I would be supporting voting for the Patterson Bill over the Smith Bill, and at the end of the day, I have no doubt that the Australian people's wish of same-sex marriage will be legislated.
Yeah. And so you've been on the losing side of the argument with the postal survey. You're acknowledging here, though, that the Parliament will, en masse, represent broadly the views of Australians. That's your prediction, is it? Oh,
look, I think so. And in fairness, going back to your question about how Tasmania votes, the simple fact is roughly 30+% of Tasmanians voted no. If we are a true democracy, one would suspect then 30% of our parliamentary representatives in Canberra might also vote no and give expression to that. And see, this 30% is, 3 times the vote that the Greens get on a national scale. Do we say that the Greens, because they only got 10% of the vote, should never be heard, never be allowed to move amendments, should not seek to influence government decisions or be engaged in the public debate on issues? Of course we don't. We say that that 10%, albeit a minority, should be listened to. In this case, it's not 10%, it is well and truly over 30, nearly 40%.
All right, well, the next step on this journey is one for the Parliament to take, and Erica Betts, for sharing your thoughts with us today. We thank you for
a pleasure. Thank you.
That perspective from the No campaign. Now, trying to cover all sides of the argument here today, we're going to go back to the Yes campaign now, and actor Magda Szubanski has spoken at the Yes rally in Sydney. Let's check in on what she's had to say.
This is for all of us, no matter what way we want to live our life. It is that we must live as equal people within this country. And the great thing, I'm always very moved. Thank you for the welcome to country. Every time I'm at an event, every time I'm at an event, I'm always struck by the warmth and generosity that our Indigenous brothers and sisters give us to this land. Because apart from them, all of us have come from somewhere else, seeking a safe, civilised society. Now, Australia, white Australia, began literally as a prison, a place for the dregs of society to be dumped and to rot in isolation. A mere 239 years later, it has become one of the most stable, peaceful democracies in the world. And now we have voted through one of the last remaining pieces of inequality that exist in the legislation. So that shows that the belief in this country in a second chance for people, to not judge people by their looks or by whatever sexual identity or cultural or ethnic or religious identity they might have, is core to our beliefs.
And this is their moment in the sun, the Yes campaign. We saw in the background behind Magda Szubanski, Karen Phelps, another prominent campaigner on the Yes side, also gathered on that stage from corporate Australia, who was not entirely active, but certainly the company in Qantas was, and its chief executive, Alan Joyce, also spoke at the Sydney rally. Let's check out what he had to say too.
I came to Australia in '96. Still in certain parts of Australia, homosexuality was illegal. When I left Ireland, it was illegal. I was so proud of Ireland in May 2015 when they became the first nation in the world to vote for marriage equality. I was so proud of my country of birth. But today, I'm even more prouder of Australia, my country of selection. This is an amazing outcome, and we should all be very proud of this amazing country. We now seen a message from the Australian people to get on with it. We now all expect it. We need this to be delivered, and we need it to be delivered fast. Get on and do it, Mr. Turnbull. It's now up to you.